生欢迎。有，你刚刚充分用你的肢体表达这件事情，我都看得出来。不想吗？想，当然想。你没有？有。没有，只要是直男，应该都蛮想要受女生欢迎。有，真的有。你有没有表现出来？不过说到这个事，我这样做啊，大家有没有觉得，就是最近受女生欢迎的男生也是变得不太一样？好，我知道，你是说某一种风格的转变，对不对？像前几年就是那种什么韩国小鲜肉当道啊，这个朴宝剑啊，宋仲基啊，金正恩。在看什么？回答。回来，你说表现好不好？好，回来。那这几年是不是这个台湾的这个本土台客，越来越后市看涨了起来？我就是要讲这件事情啊，是，但是到底是为什么？你知道吗？我觉得是因为那个去年邱泽拍的那一部电影，刚好这个乐团昨天得奖了嘛，当男人那个，对不对？下块，对，经典画面，下一块，我这小赚加班哦。你给我下一笔一画写完免款，你怎么书法推广协会？写书法啊，当男人练知识。搞错了。不过讲到这个恋爱啊，你有多久没有练功了？如果你讲到恋爱了，为什么要跑回去练功呢？欲谈恋爱必先自宫。我不会自宫了，我谈什么恋爱？那你臭直男哦！你刚会谈恋爱都是想跟他打炮而已嘛？不是，没有，这孤男寡女共处一室，对不对？把这个灯光给气氛加，这个事情啊，很自然就会发生了嘛，对不对？对吧？真男你没办法，没办法。三眼长好像官友一样哎。谁呀？三眼都不是一样的。你好像知道些什么？你喝钱？我是打输打。果然呢，为什么要偷人家表演啊？我们是大概是你看，我看得出来，就是要那个渲染。好。上一次有这个心动的感觉是在什么时候？昨天吧，超离近啊！在电视上看到王心凌的说啊 ，Everybody say Oh baby， 情话，我怎么配演？了解，看见我你讲的那个是那个女明星，看到女明星呢，就是这个。我讲的是那个你在一段关系里面那一种。哦，你说 in a relationship。但是我从良之前。从良，金门洗手。我家的洗手不是重新做。不是这么我讲的不是那种哇。这一种。好恶心啊你！你在干嘛？风干就给谁撕掉？然后你的细节这么细，还修缮它，对不对？好，搞错了。你刚刚说床凉，对不对？还有这个金盆洗手，来，你说床凉跟金盆洗手，对不对？所以你之前是在江湖上面混过？对啦，就之前就是在那个口袋公司上班，然后就我那时候的前女友，他老爸欠债，有没有？给他老爸生病，对，然后我就只好去夜里面讨债嘛。哇，好熟悉啊！不要说，标中机。其实在原病男主角会打动标中机，送什么？送胸肌。叫谁？老板。好，买冰的，流氓买冰的，换一下代币。你在装我什么？你今天大佬是不是？谁呀？我小气什么时候？难道去哪里？我靠，你进唱圈？干嘛呀？拿什么小学书完就说。面字实啊，有字吗？完全不是有字啊，我都看得出来啊，是100的啊！你以为淡水黄 薪水是高利贷。看一下我们有。还有，你比较熟，就这样把我看完。年轻人血气方刚的。这个年轻人真的很不错。你跟矮到底什么关系啊？来，他别看，差一点你说的，最好这个叫夜宿学，这个月比较少，那其他夜宿，你知道为什么？太多嘛。喂，你超猛啊！不意外。来阿斌，一眼那边，一眼那边，哦，一眼那边，不要想玩他们可以，你待着好，其他我看一下。好。对。小姐，你发现高利贷，你知道吗？今天要是欠1颗2颗我就算了，他竟然欠到3颗，这不对吧？小姐，来这听我讲话，小姐，小姐。陈志豪。就是他还在讲什么？你是偷人家表演啊？你看。你是谁啦？你没偷小啊？偷小？你偷小要看状况吗？你看我爸都已经躺在这边，都已经生病，你还偷小？等他病好再好不好？你下面踩狗，你动力受干走你啊？太凶了。不要谈恋爱。我们在演你的恋爱故事，这是我前女友。他吗？所以要买，对，这边你要买什么，他要买什么。哦，我忘记了，我以为我们在对。好的，就是请你先不要太沉浸在扮演这段游戏。没有，我是沉浸在扮演邱泽的角色。哦，像哦，像哦。Action。小姐，现在行情是天经地义的事。你今天要是不还我高利贷，我晚上是要吃什么？ 能力比较不废啊。一般来说，男生还是比较喜欢那种可以战斗的能力。我看过一种，我知道，操控电流的超能力，很帅。没有，是要把火车给压扁。根本就压不扁啊！有没有？有没有什么啦？什么啊？你的英雄梦跟那个超级英雄还是有。来说出来给大家笑一下。很没礼貌。有的知名作家7把刀少2把，不是叫你再少2把。9把刀曾经说过，能被嘲笑的梦想才是梦想。对，但说出来给大家笑一下，还是要被笑。分享嘛 ，share 嘛 ，SHEW。听错。完全听错。我是被那种英雄救美，就我是那种金盆洗手的那种超强杀手，叫什么 Jumping。对，然后我半夜经过暗巷，然后看到坏人在欺负美女，然后我就打开坏人拯救美女站。你可以说一次吗？超过7秒我就记不起来。金鱼脑。反正你就是要对美女做坏事情，好。千年杀菜。我已经发誓不杀人，别与我过节。你身体不舒服？我在找不要多管闲事。哼，不要多管闲事。子弹可是不长进的呢，不长眼。可不给我走着瞧，可不可以给我走天桥？ 吧，我送你回家。以后千万不要夜深的时候一个人回家。还有，记得千万不要我还在讲话，还在讲话，你个什么死相子啊？那你走一边嘛！走着瞧。小姐，走吧，我送你回家。还有，记得就是借钱搭公车吗？还是你可以载我？不行。你不帅，这时候就连女生。OK， 好，小姐，走吧，送你回家。还有，千万以后不要一个人回家，记得千万不要爱上我。你身体不舒服吗？好，欢迎来自台中的现点现做，欢迎他们！升小一啊，太小了，不知道是还记得啦。哎，就这样迷迷糊糊的啊，当一个普普通通的学生，很喜欢叠字成语啊，闹得现现在在。不是叠字成语啊，书读到哪里去了？不是真的味到哪里去啊？奇异博士是吧？奇异硕士的，盗版的，盗版的，学历比较低的。连看到人都不出来吗？看不到出来吗？你是那什么热血动漫看太多搞错了吗？动漫社的哦。没想到还是被发现了。没错，我是待过一段时间啊。你呢？我春晖社。春晖社嘛。啊。春晖社。动漫社啊，动漫社，动漫社完春晖社，春晖社，春晖社，春晖社，我要管乐社，怎么招不了春晖社？春晖社的社长啊，春晖社好玩吗？那我没有说我是社长，不过我就只待过一阵子嘛。但是我担任过纠察队。真的假的？我担任过鬼杀队耶。是杀鬼？知道。不要强调。不是鬼杀队是不是？没有啦。哎，各位，有没有看过教官的走狗就长这个样子？没礼貌。你长得就有礼貌吗？更没有。还笑啊？怎么笑那么大声？那个纠察队管家都跟猫。抱歉呢，没有。我感觉你以前是那种坏学生嘛，对不对？不是，我以前都是好学生，所以我就想体验那种当坏学生的感觉啊。那我感觉比较出名嘛。我想当学校的风云人物啊。
Minecraft.
Creating a new visual language.
prefer TBS release and VNTX companion, so I can pick up models, loading scripts more easily, or just streaming. How you doing, Abel? This one cool.
With the release of Betaflight 4.4 and the improvements to GPS Rescue, you start to see a lot more people willing to add GPS to their 5-inch freestyle builds. As a result of this, Flywheel have released some updated GPS modules, and today we're going to be taking a look at this, the GM10 Mini. Now this is a small GPS module designed to be used with Betaflight, and what we'll do is take a look at what's included in the pack, walk you through some of its features and spec, get it set up and show you its behaviour in both U-Center as well as Betaflight. Now, just to be clear, Flywheel have sent me this GPS for free. However, they've not seen this video before it's been published, and as always, my thoughts are entirely my own. Anyway, let's get on with it and let's take a look at what this new module is all about. Okay, so what we have here is one of 3 new GPS modules from Flywheel. Now, we're going to see a lot more GPS modules hit the market, really specifically designed for Betaflight over the next few months, just because of the improvements that have been made in Betaflight 4.4 to the failsafe or GPS rescue features. If you haven't seen, I actually have a GPS for free. However, they've not seen this video before it's been published, and as always, my thoughts are entirely my own. Anyway, let's get on with it. Let's take a look at what this new module is all about. Okay, so what we have here is one of 3 new GPS modules from Flywheel. Now, we're going to see a lot more GPS modules hit the market, really specifically designed for Betaflight over the next few months, just because of the improvements that have been made in Betaflight 4.4 to the failsafe or GPS rescue features. If you haven't seen, I actually have a dedicated video on that. I'll put a link to that in the description. The Betaflight dev team have done an amazing job of improving the return to home or the GPS rescue, and it really is now something that you can begin to rely on. And with the cost of drones today, with the cost of these digital VTXs, having a reliable fail-safe option on board is going to be critical, and these GPS modules are going to be what people are going to want to use. Now, as I've said, there are 3 versions of this module available: the Roku GM10 Pro, the GM10 Mini, and the GM10 Nano, all version 3s. The difference between this and the Pro is that the Pro comes with a compass, and this one is the standard GPS version without compass on board. All 3 versions support the M150 chipset. Size-wise, this one is 18 by 18 by just 4.8mm tall, and it is one of the more narrower GPS modules that I've seen on the market today, and weighs just 4.5 grams. It's got that nice large GPS antenna on the top as well, which covers the whole PCB, and connecting to it is nice and simple. We've got an SH 1.0 4-pin connector here, but there is also pads down here that you can solder to if you want to as well. The module supports an input voltage range of 5 volts, and it supports GPS, GLONASS, Galileo, Beidou, as well as a couple of others, but it comes preset to the default protocols of GPS, Galileo, and Beidou, and supports up to 72 channels or 32 satellites max. Configuration-wise, it supports 1 to 10 Hz. It's default set at 10 Hz like most of the GPS modules, and the nice thing about this being that new M150 chipset is that it does have that up to 32 satellite capability, and it's going to give you faster response but more precision than we've seen from the likes of the M8 modules. Now, fitting this module in your aircraft is fairly straightforward. It does come with a harness already, and the nice thing about that harness is it has a locking connector on too. So you actually have a little button on the top of the connector there, so when you put it in place, it locks in and it's absolutely solid. And they also show you the pinout along the back on the sticker as well. And like any GPS module, you would simply connect it to a free UART on your flight controller. Now, using this module in Betaflight is fairly straightforward. You simply need to configure it on the UART you have it set to GPS and set the baud rate to 115200. And then when you go under GPS, you should then see that it's showing connected. It should then show you the lock with the sat count located down below and all of the usual details up here. Taking a look at the GPS's module performance in uCenter 2, if you don't know what uCenter is, it is the GPS software from uBlocks that allows us to view the module's performance in a lot more detail. Now, it's been warmed up for about a minute and a half, and you can see here that we're picking up 16 satellites, of which it's using 14 in total for navigation, and it's picking up more and more as time goes on. We can then test this module for both warm start and cold start behavior. For instance, warm start is a soft reboot retaining the previous GPS location data, which means it will simply reboot and try to acquire the satellites where it thought they were before. And then you've got the cold start option, which will completely erase the internal data, and then it would need to download the data from the satellites first to allow it to then understand where they are positioned. So for instance, if we do a hot start test, you will see it will reboot very quickly, and within a second or so, we are already back up and running and locked. And then if I do a cold start, you will see that it will completely shut down and then start to reacquire the satellites one at a time, and then build up a picture and build up its log. There you can see it was able to get a 3D fix in about a minute from a cold start compared to a warm start, which is almost instantaneous. Now, the price of this module in the UK is coming at £14.71 GB, or in the US, we're looking at just under $18. Overall, I think it's a good price for an M10 series GPS module, and you're going to see these small, new, updated modules with the M10 chipset becoming really popular as we see the proliferation of these new versions of Betaflight with the improved return-to-home performance. Okay, so just to quickly share with you some thoughts. Overall, I think it's a great module, and I think the price is decent as well. I have noticed in the last few months, GPS pricing has been going up and up, and to have a module for under $20 or under £20, I think is a no-brainer. It's nice that we're now seeing the proliferation of the M10 chipset out more and more, and we're seeing these new, smaller, lighter, low-power modules with better performance hit the market. And I think if you're looking for a GPS module for your freestyle or quad build, there's no reason not to choose this one. I've done quite a lot of testing with this on the bench, not only here, but with the Avatar system as well, and I think it does a really good job. So if you're interested in getting one, I will put a link to it in the description of this video. I just want to say a thank you to Flywoo for sending this one over. Nothing bad here, all good. I do like the fact it has a little latching connector as well. I do like the fact it's got pads. So if you're interested in getting one, please do consider checking it out. Now, that's it from me on this one. And just before we finish up, I just want to say, if you have found this video interesting, please do consider supporting the channel, either via Patreon or buy me a coffee. If you're not subscribed, don't forget to hit the subs button as well. And I'm really interested in hearing your thoughts. If you've got any comments, please do put them in the section below, and I'll try and answer any questions you may have as well. Anyway, that's it from me. Stay safe. I'll speak to you soon. Forward, then consider the new goggles. We're going to have to wait. There is some stuff I've been talking about this week I can't talk about, and look, I'm actually a little bit excited about the new goggles, just from a fitment point of view, because they might actually...
Hi everyone, I'm here today with Carl from Divimath. We're going to have a bit of a conversation around the HD0 technology, and hopefully ask and answer some of those questions that maybe you had about the technology, but also maybe some questions that you didn't know you had. And hopefully you'll find this interesting. So I'm going to launch right into it now. Thank you so much, Carl, for joining me for this call. I'm sure that everybody out there is going to be super interested to hear everything you have to say about HD0 and the technology that you have, because it's really impressive. So before we jump into the technology itself, can I ask a little bit about your personal background? You know, where were you born? Where did you grow up? Where did you study? And how did you come to be where you are today?
All right, thank you, Chris. I was born in China in 1972, so I'm almost 50 years old. So I get my old education, PhD from China, and in 2001. And in 2001, after graduation, I went to Silicon Valley for a job and stayed there for 20 years. Yeah. So all my career is based on communication and video processing. My first job in ESS technology has been the modem, right? Internet is the modem, yeah. The young guy doesn't know that, but the older generation know the modem, what the modem is. After that, I was doing a video decoder, like the 3DF, exactly using, we're still using in our IPV, the dominant, the other space. Now I was doing the DVB modular, which is the digital video periscope for European, that's DVB. After that, I was, I joined the industry, and I started a company in 2005. Then the company was acquired by Techro. The Techro is kind of very interesting. The Techro, I designed the chip, is called TWAA36. That chip is using inside the goggle for driving the OLED display.
Right.
That's right. That's very interesting. I don't know that until I get into LPV industry. In 2018. That's about 10 years later after I designed that chip. So in 2014, I started a company in the United States, right, and have the branches in China. So in Xi'an, Shenzhen, the R&D and manufacturers in Xi'an and Shenzhen. But the company, DVMAS Inc., is a California-based company, the Fremont. The same thing here, the Tesla, everything, yeah. So that's the background of myself.
Fantastic. Oh, thank you so much, Carl. It's really interesting. It sounds like you've just got an enormous wealth of experience in this sort of area in the field of video and digital communication. So that's wonderful to hear about. Can you tell me a little bit more about the background of the company, DiviMath? So you said you founded it and it's based in Fremont, California. But obviously you yourself and the company have strong links for manufacturing and things of that nature, I guess, in China. Is that right?
That's right. So the company, yeah. So because I'm Chinese, and most of the manufacture of the TV, I think is based on China.
Mm-hmm.
So DVMAS will do the same. But I was not going to do the VTX, the VRX, those kind of things. I was only, we call it IC, fabless IC design company. Our product is chip. Everybody uses our chip to build up like the goggle, right? Build up the VTX, VRX. That's my initial target. It's still my target, but HD0 is kind of very new. Nobody is going to risk themselves because of new technology. And also because another digital solution is so strong, so nobody wants to compete with them. So I have no choice but to design the VTX and the VRX myself. So, but I don't have choice to do that. If I do have the choice, I will do what I'm good at, like design and sell and test.
Right, so that's really your core expertise is in, I guess, ASIC design, is that right? Application-specific integrated circuit design.
Exactly. I always talk to people. I'm not more than qualified as a designer. That's me.
Fantastic. And I think for those people maybe who aren't aware, the application of digital video in FPV really does require specific silicon, like specific integrated circuit design, because our requirements are so extreme in terms of like latency and throughput and that sort of thing. So yeah, that skill set's obviously super valuable in this field. And so you say you started off as a fabless semiconductor company, and certainly I also work for a fabless semiconductor company as well, based here in Cambridge. So I know all about that. So how did you come to sort of transition from that into products?
Right, it's kind of very weird. So when I do the low latency video news, it's not for HDD. I don't HDD at all. So I was back to 2015. So I bought a gear with the HTC Vive. So at that time, I'm very curious about. It's very, very fun. But there is a HDMI cable, underneath your head. So it's kind of very strange. Can I get, because I'm an engineer, right? Can I get rid of the HDMI cable? Yeah, I did a study and just found out it's so tough because basically the 4K resolution and 90 frames per second. That's a lot of data through the wireless. But I did a study. I think the latency is a very important issue, even you're using the cable, right? So it has to be, even that cable is very expensive because it's longer. The latency from there, so when you move your head and the sensor will send the signal to the graphics card, and the graphics card will render a video and send to the goggle, right? This is kind of a loop. So if the overall latency is over 30 milliseconds, so people will feel dizzy. With the move ahead, the picture giving the sound. Yeah, people will feel dizzy. So that's my initial target to do a low latency video, not for TV. Right. So I was doing that. But so when I doing that design that I talked to a lot of my advisor and classmates, so because all coworkers, all of them are video communication. I say I want to do a very low latency, 30 milliseconds. Everybody thinks it's not possible. That's why HTC, even the Oculus, the Facebook, they cannot have such a solution, the wireless solution. So especially the solution is on the 6 gigahertz. So right now they have for the UWP, right? They can have a very wide frequency range. They can do that. But on the sub 6 gigahertz, they cannot do that. So everybody say no. But I think probably I need to try it very differently. So that's why I say the TSSC is kind of the technology I'm going to use. Because everybody knows you want to communication the video, right? You put to the compression. When you do the OFDM stuff, this is reading the textbook. Everybody knows what to do. So unfortunately, everybody knows what kind of the compression, what the compression ratio you are having. So what's the OFDM, what's the data rate, what's your bandwidth? People always ask me this kind of questions. But for HDVI is very different. They don't have those kind of parameters. So you ask me those parameters because you think I'm doing the compression, this kind of thing, but I didn't. If I did that, you cannot have the low fixed latency.
Fantastic. Well, I think that brings us on really nicely to just an overview of the HD0 system. So can you talk us through as a sort of summary of exactly how the HD0 system works from sort of the camera through the VTX to the VRX and then finally to the goggles, just as a summary, and then we'll go into each section in turn.
Oh, okay. So the video from the camera to the meeting and to my chip, and we have to go to the meeting to get the YUV data. Then we do the video process. I will not say compression, but it does remove the redundancy of the video, get the video data smaller, then pass this data to the baseband, and the baseband come out the signal to that everybody is the same to the radio frequency modulator, then out to the PA. Yeah, it's kind of this flow.
Perfect. And then when that signal arrives in the HD0 goggles, in the VRX, is it a similar process in reverse?
It's the reverse direction, right? Yeah, we get the RF signal, we do demodulate the RF signal, then pass the baseband, and the baseband will get something, get the data, and pass the data to the video processing again, then out to the video. Yeah, it's just a reverse. Yeah.
Thank you. So I think that's a fantastic summary. So let's jump into, I guess, the camera side of things. And I was doing a bit of research on the different cameras, and my understanding is that most analog CMOS cameras and the DJI CMOS cameras all use a rolling shutter. And I was interested to see that HD0, the Cam GS, used a global shutter. Could you talk to us a bit about the difference between rolling and global shutter, whether one is better than the other, or what your thoughts are on that?
Right. Global shutter definitely is a more advanced technology, and it's very powerful when you as of today, people scanning the QR code, right, with the camera. Even you fast moving, so you solve the problem. But with the global shutter, you definitely will make your life easier. Right? And for the LPV, when I first jumped into LPV, I think global shutter is the best. Then I was, at that time, was doing the fight source. I'm using the global shuttle. But the global shuttle, we will introduce a one frame latency. That's one of the things. So the rolling shutter, the light gets one line, and then the one line out, right? You get the other line, right? Maybe a few lines, right? But it's not a frame, right? So the global shuttle, you get one whole frame. So you get out, then you for the other frame. So basically the one frame latency of the global shuttle. But because the APV is a high motion, the global shuttle will help. So it's a benefit and it has advantage and disadvantage.
Yeah. So for sort of the lowest latency, a rolling shutter might give you slightly lower latency, but the global shutter is going to give you better capture of the motion.
And that's right. It's called blurring, right? So the global shutter will give you very clear image without blurring. But the rolling shutter definitely, if you see the prop, you always
they get bent. They bend.
That's right. Yeah, right. But the global shutter will remove that.
Perfect. And so, is that the sort of direction that you're thinking that your technology will go in the future, using more global shutter cameras, or do you think you'll support both types, or what do you see in the future?
I think I will support both types, and the price, like people are very sensitive to the price. Global shuttle is much more expensive than rolling shuttle.
Yeah, fantastic.
The other one is the frame rate. So, for example, DJI is 120 frame rate per second, and that's another higher barrier to produce the qualified high frame rate camera sensor. Yeah, not so many companies can do that. It's kind of expensive one.
And speaking about frame rate, obviously, there's the cost associated with the high frame rate. Do you think that your technology you would apply your technology to different frame rates in the future, or do you think 60 frames per second? What do you see in the future?
Okay, so when I first designed this, I'm thinking about the cost. So
yeah.
I think my system cannot use the high end, like the high expensive CMOS sensor. We have to use the commodity, right? So
Yeah.
that's my plan. But my system does benefit if we have the higher frame rate, because the people are looking for higher frame rate, right? Starting from the TV. Before was 60 internet, now it's 60p, right? 120p. Now it's 240p. So yeah.
So as you say, it's really a cost thing. The system can support higher frame rates, but we all need to be aware that those sensors are much more expensive, and that's going to be a cost that will be more than a 60 frames per second sensor.
Right, the cost is higher, and the availability is kind of a problem too.
Right. So they're not always available, and they go out of stock quite quickly and things like that.
Right.
Okay, fantastic. So that data that you capture from the sensor, there's some image processing that goes on in the camera, I guess, with a specific image processing chip. Is that right?
Right.
And do you use a particularly special type of chip, or do you use similar image processing to other FPV cameras in your system?
Oh, actually, in my system, I know something about the image signal processing. Most people, IPV, they do, but it's kind of scientific. I'm not expert there, and sometimes even folks they're using the ASIC to do this job. We call ISP, right? Right. The Sony, they have their own ISP. I think DJI is very good at the ISP too. They right in earlier time probably they don't have the ISP chip, but they are good at tuning, right, to make it look very nice. But right now they are too big. I think they might have their own ISP for all the cameras. But definitely DJI is very, very strong to make the picture look nice. Definitely, that's for sure. I think probably, I'm not sure, maybe, yeah, it's very strong.
But as you say, there are several suppliers. There are a few different suppliers of these image signal processing chips. So it comes down to the camera manufacturers, I guess, to find the best available chip and to tune it correctly. Is that right?
Yeah.
Perfect. So we have to, I guess, look into whether DJI do actually have any proprietary ASIC for image signal processing. I'll put something down in the video description if I can find any evidence of that later. So now you've got the processed image that's transported over a MIPI link, which is a digital video link, and at this stage the video is uncompressed. Is that right?
That's right.
It's kind of the raw data. So can you tell me a little bit about the MIPI link that you use? Any particular specifications that you feel you can share about that?
Okay, before I jump that, I want to make a little correction. It's not called raw data. When we say the raw data, it's kind of the CMOS sensor given to ISP. This is called raw data. It's called, basically, it's called fair format. It's a RTGR. That's called raw data, right?
Yes, sorry.
So the video data after the ISP is called YUV data. The YUV data is visible. So it's a YUV data over the MIPI link.
Yes.
The MIPI link is a total for the community CSI2, right? So the MIPI consists of two things. One is a file, the other one is the controller. The file basically is still is like a track, right? but the controller is kind of what kind of the panel on the card. Right, this two things. So we have an EPTX on the camera side, and we have an EPI IX on our receiver side. Yeah. So in our video transmitter, there's a Toshiba chip. That's the EPI. Yeah.
Right. And do you use several lanes in your MIPI link to get the data rate high enough?
Oh, that's right. MIPI is a very good is a standard, right? Because we are only 720p, so we actually can use 2 lanes or 4 lanes, or 4 lanes, sorry.
4 lanes.
4 lanes, 4 lanes or 2 lanes. That's fine. Because our data rate is very small, right? Compared to 4K. Yeah.
Sure, absolutely.
Yeah.
And I guess you use for your system you can use 2 or 4 lanes. Is that right? Or
right, we can use both.
Right. So
that's why the MIPI has lots of parameters. So I need to know I'm 4 lanes or 2 lanes, right? And what's the color space? What kind of the YUV data there? So that's why we needed a handshake IC for that.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, that's really great because if you support up to 4 MIPI lanes, that potentially means that the data rates could theoretically go higher in the future. I guess with either higher frame rate, 120 frames per second, or even higher resolution. Is that true?
Yeah, you are very smart, and this is a very good question. The reason we choose 4 lanes means, the data rate is half of 2 lanes, right? So the lower the data rate, meaning the MIPI cable can be longer.
Right.
Right. So this is the reason we choose 4 lanes. Right. One of the reasons. And the other reason, because later on we can support a higher resolution. Yeah.
Yeah. Oh, fantastic. So that's something that I didn't realize, that you could run the MIPI lanes at different rates to achieve a different to allow you to use longer wires and achieve better signal to noise ratio, I guess, on the link itself.
Yeah. Right.
Okay, awesome. So we've got the YUV data that's been processed in the camera. It's over the MIPI link, and then it gets to your VRX, so your VTX module, and through the Toshiba chip there. What's the next stage?
Okay, so here is kind of very different. It's very different. I will not. Right, I will try to explain as much as I can. Okay, basically, the other solution like Wi-Fi or DPI, they will compress the video. The compressed video will be the video stream. Is not kind of stream, kind of a packet, right? Each packet has a header, has a link, has a payload, this kind of thing, right? And those things will pass through the baseband modulator. So here is a problem. So the each bit is very important for that stream. If you mess up 1 bit, maybe your whole packet is gone. For example, you have 1 bit wrong on your link, so the whole packet will be wrong, right? Will be very wrong. So my approach is very different. Differently, I think about the video. So the video, basically, each pixel is easy to understand is RGB, right? So RGB AA is 24 bits. So I can tell you, even you have only the MSC, like the R7, G7, D7, so you will get the image. So which means you only transmit 3 bits instead of 21 bits, 24 bits. So you will get the best image.
And you sort of get most of the data.
Right.
And do you? Sorry.
What I want to say is, so if you compress the data, each bit is very important. So if you do the video, if you analyze the video data actually, some of it important, some of it not. It's not equally important. what I can say that, right?
Yeah.
So I need this, I utilize this feature to design my file. So, which means the file, meaning, to design the file. So for the very important data, I will make sure I have more protection for that.
I see.
Right. So for the less important data, I don't have any protection for that. So if my bandwidth is not enough, I just get rid of the less important data.
Right. That makes sense.
Right. So this is a very different with the other solution because I think not every bit is equally important.
And you were saying you're talking about YUV data for people who maybe aren't familiar with YUV. The Y is the luminance, isn't it, of the pixel,
That's right. Yeah.
and then U and V are sort of the color data bits. So
Yeah.
I guess you would view the Y data as being more important, let's say, than the U or V data because the brightness of the pixel is what our eye is really sensitive to more than just the color, right?
Exactly. And also the Y, the bandwidth for Y is much longer. So, because but the UV is kind of only limited in low frequency. So that's why it's easy to transmit.
Yeah. Okay. Fantastic. So it's sort of, in some ways, you're taking the same approach that you're taking the same approach to the importance of the different parts of the image as in an analog video, where again, certain, for analog video, the Y data is prioritized and sort of sent with the maximum possible signal to noise, and the color data is sort of the first to get lost in a sense. So I guess you're taking a similar approach, but with a digital signal rather than with the analog video signal. So that's really interesting. So once you've got that stream of data, can you talk through how you would process a frame of video? If you receive a frame from the MIPI link, does the frame arrive all at once?
Oh yeah, that's a very, very good question. So we were talking about the video data itself, the kind of the still image. But video actually they have timing. You are talking about the timing, right? Yeah, this is a very important topic. So we are not only transferring the video, the pixels. We need to transfer the video timing.
Right.
Otherwise, okay, you lost one video, right? You lost one frame. So the other side doesn't know. So you will have the freeze video frame, right, over there. So that's a problem. So, but it's very difficult to transfer even a single bit over air if the signal noise ratio is pretty low. So you need to have some way to get your video timing to the VRX side. This is the this question is, I won't say the most important thing of this system, but it's very important. I think we solve it pretty well because our frame rate is kind of even there's no noise, and but the frame rate is pretty constant. It's because of that. But thank you for asking this question. Yeah, this is very important. Not only the YUV data and also the timing.
To make sure that the frames are being displayed at the right time on the other end. Otherwise, I guess you could potentially get strange things happening where over time the latency of the link is changing at the other end because of missed frames or lost data. Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. Thank you.
Yeah. Very, very interesting. So you get your data from the MIPI link, and you say, does that data across the MIPI link arrive sort of line by line as it arrives, or do you get whole frames at a time? How do you transfer the data for one frame?
Right. We just get a few lines and then we start trying because we want basically. So if you check our VTS, there's no DDR in our VTS, which means even we want the video data is huge, the YV data is huge. So you cannot save the ASIC inside my chip. My chip don't have memory inside.
Right.
So in that case, meaning we don't have any software for the frame, so we can save only a few lines.
So you're just processing that video data the moment it arrives and transmitting it. There's no delay or any waiting because there's nowhere to wait, if you like. There's no space
That's
to
right.
wait.
Yeah. That's the design purpose. Yeah, the low latency, you have buffer everywhere, meaning it's not kind of low latency.
Yeah, if you have a buffer, it's not going to be low latency because you've got data waiting around.
That's
Okay,
right.
yeah, that's really cool. So yeah, it's transmitted over as you said, an OFDM link. Now, when we spoke before, you described your OFDM link, and it's quite different from like a typical Wi-Fi link. Can you talk about how it sort of differs from traditional Wi-Fi?
This, I think you are, but yeah, this is a very good question. So when we talk about OFDM normally you need to have a C is called COFDM is called coded OFDM. So mine I call it the AOFDM. So I invented it. COFDM meaning the data comes in, you code it. It's called channel coding.
Yes.
It's channel coding. Yeah, it's called channel coding. You get a 1 bit in. For example, there is a convolutional coding. The 1 bit can become 2 bits, or 7 bits become 8 bits. It depends on the ECC, the capability, the correction, those kind of things, right? So when you say you have a 15 megabits per second in, but output is over 100.
Right.
Right? If the 1 bit become 2, that's already 100, right?
Yeah.
And also there's another like the Solomon encoding. That's 1885 becomes 275. That's another overhead, right?
Yeah.
We add those kind of overheads before we transmit just for ECC. Just like some error happened, we can correct it.
Right.
But we don't have it. We don't have those kind of things. So
Right.
these kind of things, like the convolutional coding, they have the buffer inside. We need to get rid of that buffer. DGI OpenHD Wi-Fi is everybody is called COFDM. I never call mine COFDM. I call myself OFDM or AFDM, AOFDM. Yeah. So mine is not coded. Yeah, I'm not coded as a traditional way, but as I said, because my bit stream comes in, each bit stream have different priorities. So I need to do different mapping for each kind of stream. So
Right.
yeah, so that's the trick part of my design. So we have many priority data comes in with different priorities. So how you map into the different constellations, that's one of my trick jobs.
Right. Yeah. So you actually treat data that comes in differently depending on whether you view it as high priority or low priority. In terms of how you how you encode it, you know, what modulation you use on the baseband, or which channels you put it on. How do you treat the data differently?
Oh yeah. So first there is a constellation mapping. So you need to look about that. The constellation mapping. Then, for example, I'm not doing anything about the correction. I do for the priority one, especially the timing one. I need to do the protection. I need to do the channel coding. Probably is not 1 bit become 2 bits. probably the 1 bit become much more than 2. So
Right.
because, as I said, the timing is very important. I can lose the whole frame data, but I cannot lose the timing.
Yes.
So that's very important, right? So
Mm.
yeah,
Right.
it's kind of
So that's how you do it. You sort of, as you say, you convolve the important data to protect it and make it easier to decode at the other end accurately, and then the less important data, you don't do so much of that sort of error correction convolution to sort of help. That makes a lot of sense. I think that
Yeah.
will be really clear to people. So can you sort of say what is the rough kind of data rate that you send over the OFDM link in a normal situation?
So first of all, the data rate it has to be variable because it depends on the SNR. Yeah, it has to be different. Otherwise, the fixed data rate is kind of suicide to me.
Yeah.
So that's one of my design specs. So the average, I think, I don't remember, it's close to 100. It's 97 or something, yeah.
Wow. So that's.
But sometimes it's over 100. The average should be 97.
Right. So I think that will sort of surprise and I think impress people that actually, although you've only got you're using a narrower band, 27 megahertz versus I think the 40 or something that DJI use. The way you do your modulation and the way you prioritize the different data in the link allows you actually to move more data through that channel than any of the other systems. I think certainly more than DJI are able to anyway. So I think that's it's quite impressive in terms of the amount of data.
Right, here is kind of little. So we are talking about actually the different things. So what DJI says the 50 megabits per second is called useful bit rate.
Usable.
Useful. Right. But I'm talking about the 97. Actually, is a 5 bit rate.
Right. That's the actual link.
Yeah.
That's the link rate basically.
Right. So when DJI says it's called 50 megabits per second, I think it's on the air the link is over 100.
Right.
Right. But because it has all the correction it has all the data has the error correction, right? And the redundant speed. But for my it's not. Some of them have not, some of them have it. So I have 100, but my useful is 70 is changing, right? Right. Yeah.
So
about the different things. Yeah.
Yes, no, that makes a lot of sense. So yeah, you've got about 100 megabits per second of the link rate, and how much of that roughly would you think is going to be useful data, and how much would be that error correction?
Right. It really depends on the SNR. In the low SNR, when I only transferring the timing, let's say, worst scenario, I using 1 frame time frame, what should I say? 1 frame during the time of 1 frame. I say 1/60 seconds. I transfer only 1 bit.
Right.
You think how much bit how much protection I have put it on? So I put it a lot, right? So during it should be 8 milliseconds. I only transfer only 1 bit just for the timing, right? Yeah.
Right.
That's a lot. Yeah. But if the signal is very good, so I transfer all the details. In the other case, so my 97, maybe we have 80 megabits per second. It's all useful. Right. It really depends on the current, the channel condition. If the channel condition is bad, maybe all the useful data rate will be very small. But if the SNR is good, the useful data rate is close to the high data rate.
Right. That makes a lot of sense. So yes, your link rate will always be the same, but as you say, the useful data varies to accommodate the different channel condition. So,
Exactly. Yeah. Thank you.
yeah, perfect. So you've transmitted it over the air, and it arrives at the goggles. And as you say, some of that data is going to arrive undamaged, uncorrupted, and some of that data is going to have been subject to some interference. How do you manage data that might have been damaged during transmission when it arrives at the goggles?
Yeah. First of all, we have a kind of an indicator. It's called flag, right? So how this block, I would say block, how this block, all the data was stated over there. So if you found this data it's not the white or black, meaning, so this is the block data, maybe only some of them get damaged, right? We will identify that. So if it's damaged, it's totally damaged, we will consider using the level curve to regenerate it.
Right.
But in most of the case, we get only half wrong, half right. So we need to make that decision to do it.
Right. So you've got a sort of error correction code in your ASIC that can take a block that's only been slightly damaged and sort of repair it in some way.
Right. Because
So
we have some kind of error correction, right?
Mm.
If even a minor damage, I can fix it.
Mm. And how about for a block that's been significantly damaged, where it's mostly missing?
That's right. I need to use the neighborhood pixels because I transferring the raw data, not the raw data, the image data, right?
Image data.
So the image data. So if the image is gone, I can look at its neighborhood, right? Its neighborhood of blue. I would say probably I'm blue too, right?
Right. Yes. So you're using effectively a sort of intra-frame prediction technique to look around the pixel and figure out what it should have been.
That's right. That's the right terminology.
I've been practicing my terminology.
Yeah.
Great. So I think that sort of explains things. And then when you're displaying that data into the goggles, do you display it all at once in the way that DJI does, or do you display line by line as the data comes through the system?
Right. When I design this system, the latency is one thing. So when I get only one line of data, a small piece of the data, I will start transmitting. And here, once I get the small piece of data to display, I will throw it out.
Right.
Once again, I'm using the same chip on the transmitter and receiver side, which means I don't have the memory on this side either.
Right. So
Actually,
there's
I don't have buffer to save the data.
right. So the data is going straight out of your chip into the HDMI link, or directly, into the HDMI link from the VRX.
Right. HDMI link is the final stage. Right. So for me, the output is for BT1120. This is kind of standard. The BT1120 can go to HDMI TX chip. Right. There's a chip. Convert BT1120 to HDMI signal.
Right.
Or can convert to SDI, whatever thing. Yeah. The chip itself will come out as BT1120 signal.
Right. And then that HDMI chip, does that have any data storage in it, any buffer, or does it convert and transmit down the HDMI cable sort of instantly?
I'm not an expert there, but I don't think they have any buffer. Maybe line buffer, but I don't think they have a buffer because the HDMI thing is kind of like the MIDI thing.
Yeah. Right. So yeah, it would be. So you don't think there wouldn't be like a whole frame buffer to just store everything. It's likely to just send it to the screen as you send it the data.
Right. That's on the transmitter side. On the receiver side, it may be a little bit different.
Mm.
So this is the HDMI transmitter, right? There is a HDMI receiver.
Right.
On the HDMI receiver, it needs a little bit of time to train its circuit to play the incoming video, incoming clock or data, those kind of things, then converting to the CT1120 to display.
Right. So it's going to be up to the way that the goggle is implemented in a way into how it's going to treat that data that it receives, whether it's going to display it immediately or whether it's going to buffer a frame and then display a frame. So that's something that I guess is important.
That one I'm not very sure about that. Actually, each display is very different. Like OLED and our OSD. LCD is very different. Some of the LCD they have a very good chip. It's kind of a most of the chip is like a square, right? Most square. It's kind of like the display chip is very different, and some of the display chips do have the memory inside. Yeah, because you need a driver. But once again, I'm not expert here. So what I can do is I get the data, I will transmit immediately. I get it, and once I receive it, I will transmit.
Right. So any latency latency that might be added by the goggles as a function of how it handles incoming HDMI data is separate to your system, and that's going to be down to the way the goggle is made.
Right. I mean, even the goggle maker probably doesn't know. Nobody knows the inside. Only when we're talking about the display, let's say OLED, right? The OLED, so they have some signal. We pass the data to that, meaning we only pass the data to the interface, right? Or if it display the real image on the panel, there's a chip to that. How that chip works, we don't know, right?
Yeah. I think this is going to be interesting because in the next few days and weeks, I'm going to be doing some high-speed video of the screen inside the goggles, and I've already done some testing, and I've looked at an analog goggle, the On-Way Commander, and I've looked at the DJI goggle, and with the analog goggle, you can see it drawing the image line by line. At the same rate that the analog scanning is happening. So it takes a whole 17 milliseconds to draw a whole field as it scans line by line. But the DJI system, the screen just instantly updates the whole screen in less than a millisecond. So it's not line by line. It probably is line by line, but it's buffering a whole frame and then displaying a whole frame.
Right.
Hello,
Not,
listen to morning EQ.
That's my
Friends, welcome to
expectation.
our live stream.
So,
You might hear this is morning.
yeah, so your expectation is that most HDMI goggles will work similarly, that they'll buffer a whole frame, and then when they've got that whole frame, they'll display it all at once.
No, I'm thinking the DJI, right? The DJI, they're doing not DJI. I mean, the other solution,
Hello, friends, welcome to my live
like
stream.
they have the data, they do the compression, right?
Welcome to my live stream.
Compression.
Channel 6.
They have the whole frame at once.
Today I
That's why
feel
they
so
display.
sorry
Right.
because
Right.
I feel uncomfortable.
Right.
So
But for
I
us,
just
like
speak
animal, we only get a few lines.
with
That's what we can do.
how you
Yeah.
Right. So actually, that could be a
medicine.
benefit because if you've got that few lines and you display those
so
few
I can
lines,
speak.
if the object that you're looking
about the-
for happens to be in those lines,
I just
then you see it
can
sooner.
speak.
Yeah. But when you test it, probably the photo died. So it's kind of the curve. Maybe it takes time to
I just can speak.
rise up, right? Because the CGI, the pump up immediately. So immediately.
Yes,
it
yes.
becomes- I mean, when I read the
In here
report
is
from
our
Ryan
live
and
stream.
the
We
chef
always
about the
introduce.
testing method, I think they do a very good
So
job.
sorry
That-
because I feel uncomfortable. So I just can.
that-
I
that's
can't
my
speak
expectation.
loudly.
So something that
Get
something
Wilson.
that
Thank you.
I'm
Hello,
working
hello,
on
Leo.
and I'm
Welcome
going
to
to be
my
doing
live
is
stream. Hello.
a similar type
Thank
of
you,
text,
thank you.
but rather
Leo
than
Chu.
a
Hello,
photo
welcome to
diode,
my live
I'm
stream.
going to be using a
So sorry because
high-speed
I
video
feel
camera.
uncomfortable, so I
So
can't
you'll be able to
speak
see
loudly.
the
Sorry.
screen, and
Sorry
you'll
for
be able to
this,
see
guys.
how the screen is
Now it's
updating.
okay.
And
I take with a
it's similar
bigger
to the
louder.
photo diode, but it's like having
Hello, Leo. Good
lots of
morning.
photo
Long
diodes
time no
all
see.
over
How
the
about
screen.
you? These days, in these days, we are going to use our stack, our Velox F7, V50F, SE stack, and we also take so many great drum come here. You can see about this so big drum, and like this is so big drum. All of this big drum you can feel enjoy with 60 voice. Because I feel so comfortable. So sorry, guys.
It could be different, yeah. I hope that when
thank you for all the
when I do
talent
the high-speed
support
video,
us, and
it
I
will be
take so
clearer
many
to see what's
great
going on,
product
because you'll
to
actually
hear
be
is
able to
about
see the
this
screen
stack.
as if you were
This
looking at
stack
it,
and
and
about
actually see how
our
it's
free
updating
start drum.
in real
This is
time
for the free
as
start
the
drum.
image comes
If
in.
you
So
flying for the free
that
start drum,
hopefully
I think
should
it most take
feel
care.
a bit
Thank you.
better.
Thank you for your covering. Thank you. I hope I can get better quickly. Thank you for your support. Thank you for your covering. Leo Chu. Hello. So many pilots, welcome to my live stream. Yes, I will. Thank you for all the pilots.
Well, what I'll do
Thank
after
you
this
for all the
call,
pilot
Carl, is I'll send you
coverage.
the
I'm so
videos
proud
that
to
I've
give you a
prepared
meter
so
all
far
for
on
you.
analog and DJI
Really,
with my
really
high-speed camera,
cover me.
and we'll see what you think of them.
I will. Today I'm also drinking more water
you can make
because
some
drinking
comments,
water
and I'll
is
put them
better
down
to
in
me.
the video
Now I
description. What do
introduce
you
for
think?
this so big, so great drum. This is possible for the freestyle and using with our Velox with remoters. This is our Velox with remoters.
Absolutely.
And for the stack we use it for
so
our gateway also. Thank you, Prince. You are so warm. Thank you for all the palette. Oh, you are so warm.
Obviously, we're going to get more
Thank
information
you,
about
thank you so much
when I do my
for the
testing and as other people
palette.
kind of refine their testing methods. And it's great that you're engaging with
Thank you for all the
with
palette
all the people
covering.
who are doing the
Wow,
testing.
now it's
I think that's something that we don't see. We don't see DJI doing. Like they're not engaging with the community in the way that you are.
This is free
So
start
I
drum.
think that's
And then you
really
can also
great.
tell us which style you flying, about the racing or cinematic or freestyle or cinema. We all have the product, and we can take the
I think it's wonderful.
we can take the data and introduce it to you. Pilot, welcome to our
as we
live
sort
stream.
of
Just can talk
come
with
to, I
us.
guess, the sort of the end of our time here, I wanted to ask you a few questions about
Oh, so many pilots come
the
here.
future
You
technology
can talk with us.
that you're working on with the system, and how you see HD0 progressing into the future. What types of new products you're thinking about. Obviously, you've got a relationship with Backshark.
We are T-Moto guys.
Do you expect to build relationships with other companies as well?
You just have T-Moto
talk a little bit about what you see for the future for this
have the
technology?
time you can go to our office to visit.
Technology, so we are weak in the penetration and range. So we definitely need a higher watt VTS for that. Right. And also, the current camera, we don't make a camera, right? We ask them to run camera or ask them to make camera. But it seems like we need to convert
Can you hear my voice? Yeah, you are very cute and sexy. Thank you.
Thank you, Prince.
Thank you.
720p, 60 to 720p, 30. That's our bandwidth will reduce from 27 to 15.
Maybe next week we will have to give away prize. I hope you will be the lucky guys. I know you really lucky, and you win the giveaway before. And I still remember this. Thank you for all the guys' support. Yes, and help me in the future. I can also get this. Guys.
Right? Well, it's better this life. But until we have the HDJ will come out.
Hello, Joe. Welcome to our live stream. Welcome.
They were right.
Thank you for all the pilot support us. 好可以讲，其实我们这里有23是开着，你看但是它不显示出来。 Yes, thank you for passion. Oh, thank you, thank you, thank you for support. Guys, and today we take so many photos to here, and we will introduce it for all of guys.
Right. So you're looking to
Where is another one?
integrate more with the camera.
Which is another one?
And actually,
Oh,
if you're,
another one.
if you're
Another one,
going
guys.
behind a wall or something and you suddenly get very low
It's
signal,
also
you
using
could
the
actually switch the
box.
frame rate. And,
Where is James?
and then,
James is
and
here.
so, okay, it's a lower frame rate, but you're still getting that image through. You're still seeing, you're still able to fly.
Hello guys, how you doing? How you guys doing?
Yes.
That's one of the. The our chip actually supports community studies. So yeah, I know.
Hey guys, how are you guys doing?
Lower priority.
How are you guys doing?
Chicago is still.
Prince, how are you doing?
How
are you doing?
No.
Yeah, Mia has already introduced this one.
But
Let's continue to say this.
Do you ever think
For our new
I
project,
know you've got your own camera
Cine,
now,
the Vlux
the
F7
H0
flight
camera.
control,
I think
and
it's made by Runcam, is that
50
right?
amps,
Yeah.
41 years
So do you
C.
think you'll continue to
We call it a
do
new
your
stack.
own-
New
your
stack
own cameras in the
F7,
future? Or are you hoping
SE,
that
new stack.
partners are going
Now
to
it's
take
only
over most of that?
89.9 USD per one for the stack. And the first 50 orders, you will get a
Right.
you guys get a 51st. We will select five lucky guy for free. Select for free. And also we will select 10 people for discount 20% off discount coupon for your next time to order. Well, that's beneficial. Let me say one thing. The second thing I want to say is we have some selected products. Even have a more than 20% off, including those models.
In analog, but
And
that's
ESC.
really great. So
Like we have the micro 1103. 103 will have a fewer in the stock. Now it's only very cheap, guys. Very cheap. Like more than 30% off, more than 30 foot 103 model. And also the MCK model. MCK 2306.5. 23 06.5 and the 2207 MCK 5-inch racing model now is only 14.5. 14.5. Original price is 26.9. Guys, pretty cheap, right? Well, I can't see you guys comment.
Well, I think then we have to.
Did you leave a message? I can't see you guys comment in the.
You know, all of those manufacturers who currently make.
Oh, it's working. It's working.
BTS.
Guys,
We want you to go and make sharp light digital
very
BTSs
good.
as
I
well.
think.
You know,
Like
I want
the
to see what those
Vlux
products look like
22.
and,
How much does it cost you?
get some
How much
more
does it cost
competition
you?
in the market
I even have
and
no
get some
idea,
more
but
products in people's hands,
I think it's more than
cool.
like
Yeah, that's the thing, right? We are the new technology.
I think it's-
Small company.
it's like more than
50.
15 and
Nobody wants to get in.
I think probably for 13
making the
to
zero product, because we are not open, because they don't want to come in. Right?
I don't know.
We have to
I
play
don't know. Yeah,
ourselves. Okay,
cause
zero is okay.
oh
Yeah.
now I can see you guys very good.
Yeah. So people need to understand that.
Cause
That's right. Well, I think it's
yeah, I think
wonderful
the,
to hear, and
it costs to
obviously, I
be
think
like
everyone is gonna be
10 to
very
15
pleased to
at our
understand that
but
in the
except
future,
our
we could
manufacturer
see,
cost and the people cost
you
and
know, people
advertisement
like,
cost.
I don't know,
Yeah.
TBS and Rush and
F60 Pro V.
AKK
Pro V.
and all these other companies.
I need
that
to
currently
go
make
check,
analog
Prince. I need to go check.
BTSs and make really
I
good
don't,
ones.
I'm not sure. Pro V.
Could also
But F60
turn
Pro
their
V
hand to
LV
making,
4th generation is in store.
you know, sharp bite BTSs.
And besides,
potentially,
Vlux
that would be a great partnership,
2208.
you know, with
Now
the
it's
combination.
20% off, guys.
Yeah, I think
Pacer, like the Pacer series, this is a V2.
so, for example,
Pacer V2.
I still think I'm a very good
Pacer V2 and a Pacer V3.
Yeah.
Now,
Right, but I'm not a
Now
qualified
it's-
system designer. So we made a lot of mistakes when we make
$19 per one. The original price is 2306.9.
So when people, so that's why kind of
No, that.
we have a tough debate right now.
Where can I buy the stack to
So for
ship to the
example,
Philippines? That we
when
can
the
share.
first
Kim,
200
the shop,
really?
our official store is shop.tmotor.com or www.tmotor.com. No, www.tmotorhobby.com or www.tmotor.shop. We have 3 official shop. We belong to MPV fixed wing department.
Actually, it's not our thing. It's not. Our thing is the algorithm understand. We want to do that. Right. But with the chip, with the competitor, those kind of companies, they don't compete. What can I do?
Yeah, what can you do? And I think that what you've done is, you're showing a proof of concept, a proof of principle, an MVP product, as it were, to demonstrate that the system really is, has that potential to be great, and that really, we should be seeing people who currently make analog VTXs thinking seriously, because in a few years' time, no one will be flying. No one is likely to be flying analog anymore. I'm a firm believer that digital technologies, DJI, HD0, I know we've got OpenHD as well. These technologies in a few years' time are going to be the dominant ones, right?
Oh yeah. So the digital, let's say we have 8 channels. 8 channels. I mean, I don't know why they say the 25 milliwatts for the rating, right? Because it will not affect each other. But for our system, if you say at the 200 milliwatts, you have 8 layers mixed together, no problem. You don't need to say 25.
Yeah.
Right? Because our spectrum is like the door, right?
Yes.
The analog is like this.
Yeah, it goes out.
That's right, yeah. It will invade the neighbor.
Yeah. Well,
digital is okay. It's no problem to do that. Yeah.
I think that's also something that's really great to hear, is that we might be racing on 200 milliwatts or 500 milliwatts or even more in the future if everyone's running digital systems like HD0, and that means that we could have even more exciting racing through courses where there's more obstacles, more things that interfere with RF, because we can actually fly at higher powers for racing. So I'm excited to see how that will affect like the race course design and stuff in future, when you can have pilots flying through buildings and through trees and not worry about them losing signal.
Oh yeah, and also the digital, they occupy the late frequency time. So right now the R1 to R8 actually is only, I'm not sure, it's only 2 or 3 or 4 is legal. The other is not.
It certainly depends on the country, doesn't it? Depends on where you're flying.
Yeah, that's true. Yeah. So what I want to say, that digital, they occupy, let's say, we are only using 27, right? But from R1 to R2, the span is 30 something, like 36 something.
Yeah, it's wider than 27. Yeah.
It's a wider, right? It's a wider than 27. I mean, we can squeeze more channels.
Yeah, you can get more pilots in the air. Oh, fantastic. Well, I come to the end of my questions. I think Carl, you've been wonderful, and thank you so much for answering. Is there anything that you want to ask me or ask anyone who might be watching this and about to type a comment? Do you want to ask anything of anyone?
Okay, I want to say something.
Sure.
So I know the HD0 right now is still immature to somebody. I think that's true. But we are improving. We are listening to the requirements. We have some very good helpers help me understand the requirements. I mean, yeah, that's my last thing before my retirement. I need to do it right. I want to do something like I was doing the video surveillance thing. So it's analog and NCC. From 2005 to 2014, I'm converting the analog to digital. I'm doing the same thing. I want to convert the analog to digital for the FPV domain. But I
Right.
yeah, that's my goal. That may be my last job. Do that. Yeah.
Fantastic.
I want to make money, but if it doesn't make money, I'm okay. Yeah. I think I have a dream. Yeah.
Fantastic. Well, I think that your passion for it really comes across, and I think that that will really connect with people.
Just let me know. Let me know. Let me know.
It's about it's kind of why we all do it, right?
DM
We all
this
do it
Instagram.
because at the end of the day,
DM
we
this
want to try and
Facebook
make, the FPV
account.
hobby better for pilots, and
Also can DM
that's
our
the goal.
Instagram account at
That's
Tmode.pv.
right. I love the
Currently, I have a
good pilot.
1950 KV V3 works great on a full throttle. Kim, thank you. Yeah, I'm very glad it's that you are working great. 1950 all the time. 1950. Yeah. Oh, 1950. 1950. Let me point it for you. 1950. 1950. V3. And also this attack is a budget model. It's only 14.5. 14.5. But it can apply to
and I'm very
freestyle,
excited to be making
cinematic,
all this content
and both
about,
we are working
about
on
the system.
racing.
And
also can
I think
apply
hopefully
is also
people who watch this
I would say the
will
long
understand,
range model.
what you're trying to do,
Also
why you're trying to do it, and why it should make things better for pilots in the future, and that we can all do what we can to support you in trying to make that dream a reality, which I think is really great.
Yeah, that's very cool. I want to make the HTV this hobby better. That's for sure, right?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. So the HT0 doesn't exclude anyone.
Mm-hmm.
Right? We want to convert analog to digital. Digital has many features.
Mm-hmm.
So we need to convert, right? But for example, as of today, I lost a lot of money to do that. But I'm not regret. I'm never regret. I think the LTE pilots, I love them. Really, I love them. Yeah, they help him a lot. They help him a lot.
Yeah. Oh well, that's fantastic. I think that's all we probably need to say today. What do you think, Carl? Is there anything else you want to say? I think that's a lovely note to end on.
Thank you, Chris. Give me this chance. Thanks.
No problem. It's always lovely to speak with you, Carl, and I wish you all the very best. Thank you for taking this time, and I hope everyone who's watching this video also enjoyed it, and we'll leave any questions they have down in the comments. I'll certainly try and reply to as many as I can, and yeah, we'll talk about this a bit more in the future.
Thank you.
Thanks, Carl. All the best. Take care. Bye-bye. Hi there, everyone. This video is an interview with Armand. Armand is one of the core developers of the Trip FPV drone simulator, and he's been working for over a year with members of the Betaflight team to bring the realistic flight physics of FPV drones into a simulator for the very first time. Join me as he takes us through all of these new features step by step, and I hope that you'll enjoy this interview as much as I do. Thank you so much, Armand, for agreeing to speak with me today. I think everyone in FPV community is going to be really excited to kind of dive into the deep technical detail of some of the new features that you're bringing to your simulator, Trip FPV, and just hearing it from the mouth of the developer, I think is going to be great, and I'm really excited to learn a little bit more about simulators because I don't know too much about them. But before we dive into the deep technical detail, I just want to start off by asking you to give us a little bit of a background on you. What's your background? How did you get into FPV, and what kind of brought you into the work that you're doing now?
Okay, so thank you for this interview, and I will try to do my best with my poor English to explain stuff. So yes, I've been into FPV. I think around 3-4 years ago, in 2020. It was during COVID.
Oh, wow.
Maybe like a lot of last people who come into it because we have time to practice during the COVID, and so this is when I discovered this hobby. Actually, I was into drone before. I have like a magic, normal drone before because I'm working also in image and video industry. But I always wonder how you go fast with drones, and my question was, yeah, how to make the rotors more fast on the DJI because I didn't know it was existing. The FPV world wasn't something I knew before. So I saw like the sport mode on the DJI stuff and began to try to go fast with it. And no, it was not FPV still. So then I saw this video. It was yes in 2020. And it was this video from Shaggy FPV, if you know.
Oh, yeah. Mm-hmm.
This was called 6-minute dive in the mountain. Maybe you've seen this video.
I don't think I've seen that exact one, but yeah, like mountain diving video.
And full video without cut of diving in mountain. I was like, I want to do this. I want to do this, and then I tried to search how to do this, and I found this word FPV, then acro mode, then I realized that I have to download a simulator to practice and to learn this, and this is how I get into it. So
Right.
voilà.
So you did you start flying a simulator before you got your first FPV drone, or
Yeah.
did you? Okay, so you started in the simulator and then you moved into.
Yes. Actually, I started with, well, I don't know if I can say which one, but yeah, I started with TCL. It was a simulator I liked before because, how to say, I like the competitive aspect.
Sure.
And the competitive aspect was something for me, it was important to progress. And it's also a way, and it's also my opinion, that I think racing is the best way to practice and to improve your skill because you're seeing the improvement of your own trajectory timing with the
You
time.
get the feedback, right? Every lap, you know how well you did by how fast you went.
So this is quite, for me, addictive because you want to do better and better and better, and this is the way I improved my skill in FPV. And at this moment, I remember like this was the best pilot was here, like Minchan Kim, the best racer, I mean, and a lot of pilots like this, and you can see the ghost, and you can try to go them. I never get them, but it was something good to see them come more closer and closer and closer. So this is how I improved my skills with simulator tests.
Right, but obviously the first simulator you tried wasn't good enough for you because you've gone away and you've made something better, right?
So I think a lot of people will agree when you go into simulators, you buy one, then you buy another, then you buy another and another and another, and you buy all you buy all simulators. I mean, not all, but few, and because you want to compare, and sometimes you are not happy about the physics or the game design, etc. And this was something obvious for me after seeing that every simulator has something different in the feeling and in something they're proposing, but never 100% was happy.
No, they're all different, but none of them are quite the same as real life.
Yes, and everyone was saying that yes, there is something good in this, there is something bad in this, and every simulator has this bad side and good side, and even in the physics, even in the game design also, and there is a lot of things around to say around the game. But if you just talk about the physics, most comment I saw that, and also I feel same. When I come back to this simulator, I say, oh wow, that's weird. I don't know. I'm not sure it's the good feeling, you know. And so every simulator are different, and this is something that we wanted to study and to understand why.
In today's video, we look at the jittering motors of your tiny whoop, finding a way to troubleshoot them and fixing them and getting them up in the sky. Stay tuned. And what is up, you awesome people out there? Thanks for coming back to this channel. So I've actually had a couple of people asking me about a specific problem regarding the tiny whoop, and that's this jitters in your motors, and it could be an ESC or a motor issue. Sometimes it's just being weird. And when I say weird, I mean like weird. It's like, you know, you test the motors and everything's fine, check the ESCs, all is good, but it still jitters. So here's one way to check the flight controller of the tiny whoop to make sure that it is flying as efficiently as possible. One of the ways to test it is to replace the motors, and this would actually allow you to check if the motors itself are faulty. And in my sense, there was a motor that had a loose wires, and that was the main culprit. And then I've had another whoop that's got an ESC issues. Well, replacing the motors, even with a brand new one, still has that problem. Then the next step would be to actually check the ESCs. So upon checking the ESCs, realized that I've got a blown out MOSFET, and that's from the physical check and by looking at the flight controller itself. So another method is to actually reflash the ESC. And it also depends on the type of flight controller that you have. It could be a BL Heli S or it could be a BL Heli M. So one other reason for the stuttering motors is the BlueJ firmware. If you're using BlueJ, and you have got to increase your minimum startup power to about 1105 and your maximum startup power to about as high as it can go. So in this sense, I am boosting this to about 1276, and this would actually fix the issue for your jittering motors. And all affects the way the whoop works, and this is mainly for RPM filtering. Sometimes it could be as bad as a stator magnet coming off from the motor belt itself. So this is one of my whoop that has a loose magnet, which I couldn't glue it back in. So replacing the motor just made it so much better. Well, I hope you find that information useful. If you're liking this content, please do give a like and subscribe. Thank you all for watching, and see you guys again soon. Ciao.
.65mm frames. A close second is the new Happy Model MyBuild 6 2024 frame, and a close third is the Weebly Crown frame. Lots of good 65mm frames available right now. There you go. Max Melner says, okay, we got that. Max, if you can't find anything mechanical going on, yeah, hopefully you have enough time here before the end of the stream. You've got an hour. Look at the mechanical setup, make sure nothing's pinched, spin those motors up, see if there's a motor that's vibrating really hard, change the propellers, do all the things we talked about. If none of that helps, hit me again in the chat, tag me again in the chat. But this time, I want you to tell me everything. Tell me the AIO, how many batteries you've put through it, how hard you've crashed it, what the frame it was on previously, what motors it's on, how did the motors feel when you spun them up, what propellers you're running, is tell me everything. Tell me as much as you possibly can. It's so hard to troubleshoot these things through the internet. I really need to know lots and lots and lots and lots of info to stand a chance at troubleshooting it. But I've already got you on a really good path. And the path that you're already on is where like 80%, I would say like 80% of the problems come from, which is basically just the motor shaft skidding bang. But yeah, tell me as much as you can if that's not the issue, and we'll keep going with it. AntBBTHC says, one of my cross AIOs has terrible ELRS connection. I lose telemetry at like 30 yards away. Is there something I can do to fix it, or is it just a faulty AIO? It's probably just a faulty AIO. The only thing you can really do to fix it is to look at where the antenna is and make sure that the antenna has somehow not like broken free and is not connected anymore. If it had broken free, it would have fallen off. So if the antenna is still there, it's probably fine. The Beta FPV Cross AIO is what all of the racers run, and in terms of like reliability, they don't have great things to say about it. So yeah, the AIO is probably shot, but check the antenna, and that's about all. Yeah, that's kind of it. Nick Dukas says, I just saw PowerJet has the old school ELRS boards in. Not anymore. Limit says, is it really worth it to take off the heat sink from the Walksnail VTX? It is, man. It's 1.2 grams, which is like a lot. I saw you struggling last time. Also, what about the durability? Mine have been totally fine in terms of durability. Now I'm forgetting everybody's names today. Somebody commented on that video where I struggled to get it off, and they said, yo, don't use heat. It's a heat sink. It's meant to deal with heat. Just use a razor blade. You want to cut the adhesive. It's not adhesive, it's thermal paste. Apparently you want to cut it. I haven't tried that yet. I have a set of plastic razor blades coming to try it with. But yeah, apparently what you want to do is slide a little razor blade under the edge and cut through that thermal paste on all four corners, and then you can pop it up and out. I tried, I still have one of them that has the heat sink. I tried to use a little X-Acto knife here, and it was too thick. I thought that razor blades were the same thickness. Maybe the plastic razor blades are thinner. Yeah, I don't know, but that's what was told to me is the hot way to do it, and I want to do it right because I've already fucked up one of the VTXs by prying that heat sink off. Best bet is to just buy it without the heat sink, but right now it's not in stock anywhere without the heat sink, and apparently they're not going to be selling it without the heat sink anymore. So we might need to figure this out. But yeah, don't try to not do what I did. Try not to have to pry it off because, I mean, you never want to do that, right? Like these are surface mount components. If you start pulling up on them, it's not good. Like that's the weakest direction for them. But yeah, I don't see a way of getting anything. Yeah, I don't know. We'll see. We'll see when the plastic razor blades get here. Maybe they're thinner than metal ones. I don't know. Arglat says just got talked about that. Deal. Bob Noxious is in the house. CBFPV says out of context, kill your children. Free Lojo with dropping the Patreon link. Thank you, dude. CMYK saying hello. Arglaz, thank you again for the $9.99 super chat, man. Super generous of you. Maki says, did you ever test out motors with bearings like Beta FPV or Newbie Drone motors? Yep, I tested out the Newbie Drone motors. Beta FPV was supposed to send me a set of their motors, but it just never happened. Initially, they were going to send me a set, and I forgot to reply to their email. And then I eventually did reply to their email, and they said, yeah, we'll send them. And I gave them my info. And then, to be honest, I kind of forgot about it, and they have not arrived. So either they got lost in shipping. Usually they'll send me a tracking number. So yeah, either they forgot or whatever, but I don't know. The Beta FPV motors are not, same thing with the Newbie Drone motors. They're just not quite high enough kV for my power-hungry ass. I don't know. Quad 66 did some testing with the Happy Model motors versus the Newbie Drones and the Beta FPVs, I think. And basically what he found, and this is what was told to me a long time ago, is that the bearings don't last very long. Supposedly the bearings that they're using are like dental grade bearings that they use in like the dental drills, which are a much lower RPM. Apparently the RPM that we turn is way higher than what those bearings are rated for. So the bearings just kind of fall apart. And that's basically what Quad 66 found, is that after a bunch of batteries, the bearings started to get really noisy, and the bushing motors started to run a lot better than the bearing motors. So, like, if you're not going to crash and you're not going to fly the rig much, I guess, the bearings will be better for a little bit. But yeah, I don't really recommend them. The Happy Model motors, the Happy Model Tiny Whoop motors are magic. I mean, it kind of makes sense. They've been making these little tiny motors for longer than anyone, and they've been doing more of them, like more different KVs and sizes than anyone else. So it makes sense that their motors would sort of rise to the top. And they really do. Like, anytime I've ever seen testing of Beta FPV or Newbie Drone or any of these other micromotors versus Happy Model, the Happy Models always come out on top, other than RC and Power. The RC and Power 1002s are apparently magic. I have a set on the way, so I'll let you know soon enough. But yeah, the Happy Model motors are almost impossible to beat. Martin Hanley says, do you ever use 180-degree pigtails to make plug-and-play management easier on Whoop, such as the new Mobula? I do indeed. I have I've been doing my own little version forever. I started doing this probably about a year ago. You basically just bring the wires in at a 45-degree angle onto the plugs there, and then just wrap a piece of shrink wrap around the top there. Hang on, guys, Maggie's gone, but she's abroad. Not abroad, but hey, baby, what's up?
Are you streaming?
I am. It's okay.
I got
Oh. Yeah, how about, wait, you're 2 hours behind? Oh, okay. Yeah, right. Yeah, the internet went out, and so that stream stopped, and now I had to make another one real quick. I can see you. Sort of. Not really. Love you. Priorities, my friends. Priorities. Yeah, so I've been doing that forever. That works pretty good, but to be really honest, this is what you want. This is the new Beta FPV 180 degree. It's just amazing. The best part about this, I know it's not in focus, but you can see what it is. There you go. The best part about this is that this is really easy to grip onto to actually unplug and plug. The pain in the ass about this little do-it-yourself thing is that if the plug is really plugged into the battery hard, you'll pull this shrink wrap right off when you're trying to unplug it. These are cheap. Just get these. These are absolutely brilliant. So good. So good. Do it. Well worth it to get a set of 6 of these little guys and switch all your rigs over. It's just perfect. They did it absolutely perfect. Arglaz says, oh no, we got that. CMYK with the CIDFTV.com link. Thank you, dude. Mo FTV's in the house. He says, props in, huh? How is it? It seems okay. It's hard to tell because the tune was so bad. Let me show you. I'll just tell you. I threw the rig together, and I just wanted it to fly. So the damping slider is at 1.2, and then the tracking slider, which is P&I gain, is in 1.0. Normally with these 75 millimeter rigs, in order to get the tune like somewhere near where I think it flies half decent, and where this one is the damping slider at 2.0 and the tracking slider at 1.8. Sometimes so that's like maxed out. Sometimes I'll then have to go down to the master multiplier and start raising that up to just continue to get more and more PID gain as a band-aid for the fact that the 75 millimeter rigs are kind of fat. and the motor prop battery voltage combination is just not as dialed in as all the 65 millimeter rigs. So yeah, it's really hard to tell. But the main thing that I'm testing between these two rigs is whether or not 802 30,000 kV motors make sense, whether it's like a significant enough jump from 802 27,000s. And I think maybe it is. I think maybe it is a noticeable jump, but it's not. Just by the fact that I just said, like, I think it kind of is, it's not night and day. So for the amount of effort that it is to build yourself an 802 30,000 kV 1.5 millimeter shaft motor, I don't necessarily think it's worth it. But I only got like 40 seconds on this before the wire broke off. So I'm going to redo this test tomorrow after I have a chance to fix this goddamn thing. I can't believe that happened. I can totally believe that happened. I'm very annoyed that it happened now. Props in versus props out, I'm also very curious about. Although I just noticed that both of these are props in. God damn it. That's actually a good thing, because if one was props in and one was props out, that if there's a significant difference there, then the difference in the motors might be muddied. So I'm actually kind of glad that these are both props in. I didn't even realize that I did that. So yeah, I will test the motors first, and then what I'll do is I will motor limit one of these down so that they're both 27,000 kV, and I'll put one on props in, one on props out, and I'll try to figure out if there's a noticeable difference between them there. If you guys hear screaming, don't worry. It's Azalea playing Fortnite. What's with kids and screaming when they play Fortnite? I know it's not just this one. I've seen like more than one memes on Instagram about kids screaming and playing Fortnite. I thought it was just Azalea. Arglass says, that's it. Nice. There you go, brother. Good luck binding it. Although maybe you already have it bound. Upside says, what's packet rate? Packet rate is... I don't have a full understanding of what it actually is, but what it does is raise and lower the latency. The higher the packet rate, 250, 500, 100, 250, 500, every time you step up there, the latency goes down. So the higher the packet rate, the less the control link latency. 250 is pretty fucking high. 250 is blows away anything that TBS has ever done. And FR Sky. So yeah, it's not the end of the world that we can only run these tiny loops at 250. That's a massive improvement over everything else that exists. But the annoying thing is that I actually run my I usually run my packet rate at 100, because with the lower packet rates, there's a small increase in latency, but but you get better range. And I always kind of error in favor of range versus. I think I changed it to 100 back when I put a second receiver into the live streaming rigs that I've got that I chase the bicyclists with, and I think I changed it to 100 before one of those events in case I needed to use that. And Crossfire did fail safe at that event, but I didn't end up switching over to ELRS. But yeah, I think I changed it back then, and then I just never updated it, and it's just been on 100 forever. Now that I'm on 250, I don't feel any difference. But yeah, that's what packet rate does. It's not what packet rate is. I guess it's just sending the packets more frequently, right? 500 hertz is 500 times a second. So it's sending the packets. The packets are the data. You move the sticks, that's a packet of data, it sends it. So yeah, at 500, it sends 500 packets a second, 250, 250 a second, 100, 100 a second. So of course, if it's sending packets more frequently, there's going to be a little bit less latency there. Let's see. Here's your technical description, I think. It should be what it is. Arglass says, you're the man. I've been troubleshooting it for hours as well. Thank you. You're welcome, brother. Enjoy. Curtis Hayes says, CIDFPD to the rescue again. CMYK says, that's new info to me, but now I know. Thank you. You're certainly welcome. Yeah, that was, oh man, last Thursday. I didn't go chase the RC drift cars because of it last Thursday. I was trying to get the analog chasing rig to work on the new. Oh, okay. So hey, for the 10 people that just ordered this Happy Model ELRS 2G F4 board, you're gonna have to go through that. Hate to break it to you, but you're gonna have to go through that. You're gonna have to grab. Here's the link again. Here's the link in the chat again. You're gonna have to grab this VTX table right here. You're gonna have to grab this chunk of text and drop this into the CLI in order for the VTX to work, and then in order for you to bind, you're gonna have to be at 250 on your packet rate, and you're gonna have to click the bind button, get it to bind. You're gonna have to click the refresh button, and then you're gonna have to click the save button. Good luck. 1B6748 says, what's your go-to analog VTX for bigger rigs, 3.5 inch, 5 inch, and such? I don't have one. It used to be the Immersion RC Tramp, and I bought a whole bunch of them when they were going away. And yeah, they're gone now. So I don't really know. My guess is going to be like some of the Rush stuff. Don't get the Rush 20x20 VTX though. That thing sucks. Get like the bigger Rush VTXs, or TBS is okay. The TBS VTXs, just understand that they have like a lifespan. It feels like with the TBS VTXs, every time you power them up, they lose like a couple of milliwatts. Yeah, because like every time I've ever run, and I've spoken to so many people that have had the same experience, every time I've run a TBS VTX 100 batteries, 200 batteries, 300 batteries deep, that it just starts to suck. Like the range gets less like every single time. So yeah, I don't know if they just didn't put enough of a heat sink in there and they're just overdriving it and it just fatigues over time or something. I don't know. It's weird. I thought electronics were supposed to either work or not work, but yeah, I constantly get proven wrong. So, yeah. 661FPV says, I thought the Module 6 2024 was a serial-based ELRS receiver. If it's serial, then there should be no bind button on the receiver tab. Only SPI receivers do. You are correct about the Module 6 2024, but that's not the rig that we are troubleshooting. We're troubleshooting the old school Module 6. Bob Noxious says, it's why I stay with Ghost. I'm going to have some Ghost stuff for sale. I've got a Ghost module and 3 Ghost receivers that are going to be for sale at some point. If anybody's interested, let me know. DJ Beef says, took 2 days to bind. That was my ELRS experience for months, probably 6 months, was that I would do all the things. I would watch Joshua's video. I would watch every video I possibly could on ELRS binding. I would spend a few hours. I would get absolutely nowhere. I would give up. I'd come back to it the next day. I would do all the same shit, and magically it would work. I don't get it. ELRS has been way better recently, but yeah, I am really looking forward to, apparently there's a pull request for just, apparently the pull request is like, make binding easier, god damn it. But yeah, there's a pull request to make binding doable by non-computer science master's degree holders. And so, boy, will that be nice, but we're not quite there yet. Although it has become easier since early days. Upside says, interested in no problems, so seen a Sky Zone 1.2 to 1.3 could be good. VTX and the other bit equals SIG. And then he says, typing sucks, F it. I can't figure it out. I can't figure out what that. Tag me again, and and I'm sure I'll be able to figure it out the second time. 6S150 says, are you talking about the Module 6 2024 binding problems? Out of all the reviews I've watched, nobody said anything about binding problems. No, Module 6 2024, easy to bind. Plug it in, unplug it 3 times, it goes into bind mode, hit the bind mode on your ELRS 3.0 transmitter or module, good to go. There's where the stream froze. Decabacow says, do you happen to know what I need to increase motor KV? Money. Is it thinner wires or more turns, or thicker wires and less turns? Look at this guy. I think Decabacow is about to rewind some motors. That's brave. More KV is less winds, so you want thicker wires. Technically, you don't need thicker wires, but you want thicker wires. The volume of the winding material is important, so that's why you want to go to a thicker wire when you're doing less winds. But you already got that because you said thicker wires and less turns. So yeah, yep, thicker wires, less turns is what you need. Let us know how that goes, man. I've heard that it's not that difficult. I just refuse to do it because in order for me to fly hard, I can't have 10 hours tied up into a build. Although I do on some of these, but I need to have as little time as possible tied up in a build for me to fly it hard. If I've got a whole bunch of time in a build, I don't want to fly it hard because I know I'm going to break it, and then I know I'm going to have to put all that work in again. So yeah, I don't do a lot of the really cool stuff that is doable, but just is super time consuming because I just know how I fly, and crashing is just something that is, I find it to be hysterical, first and foremost, but it's also how you get better as quickly as possible. So there's where the stream came back up. There's where we bought all of the Happy Model AIOs. Curtis Hayes says, what motors to go with it? Go over to tinywhoop.com and get, or Weebleed, and get the highest, well, it depends. If it's a 65 millimeter rig, get the highest KV 0702s that you can find. Bob Noxious says, I had a little tequila tonight. Nice, dude. Johnny then says, Pyrodrone, yep, we got that. Oh, wait, Pyrodrone also has the Module 6 ELRS in stock. No way. Anybody that didn't get the, anybody that missed the AIO, let's make sure that it's the right Module 6. Nope, pre-order for the 2024s, and then these are out of stock. All right, so they don't actually have the Module 6. Kevin Thunder says, the only thing that tempts me about 6S on 3-inch, 3.5-inch is motor KV becomes far less of a constraint. Yep, that's one of the other reasons that I'm doing it. I think I'm going to end up on 5S, to be honest. But I do want some 6S batteries so that I can weigh them and just kind of figure it out. But yeah, I agree 100%. The reason why 6S doesn't really make sense on smaller than 5-inch rigs is just basically that on a smaller than 5-inch rig, the powertrain that you're going to have in there is not going to pull enough amps for 6S to be a big of a real benefit versus 5S or 4S. And 4S, for example, is much less brutal on ESCs. A lot of times when we build a 3-inch rig or a 3.5-inch rig, we don't use a $100 ESC because that's overkill, right? You get like a $30 or a $40 or a $50 ESC, and they're not as good as the $100 ESCs. Go figure. And so one of the best things that you can do for those, or an AIO. AIO is the same situation. Like it's nowhere near as high quality as a good $100 5-inch ESC that can handle 6S all day long. So when you have this AIO or cheaper ESC, one of the best things you can do to make it last longer, more reliable, is to run less voltage through it. And 4S on rigs with powertrains, 3-inch, 3.5-inch, it's plenty. There's very little to no performance change and the ESCs last a lot longer. So I really, really, really recommend you run 4S on everything that you've got smaller than smaller than 5-inch. Yeah, durability is a big deal for me. If it's not for you, then screw it. Run 6S on everything. But if you care about durability, if you care about not losing rigs in the tops of trees or on rooftops, stuff like that, yeah, 4S is king. The only problem that we have on 4S is exactly what Kevin mentioned, is that a lot of times the motors that are, like, so 1404s, for example, the highest KV 1404 I've ever seen is 4,600 kV, maybe 5,000 kV, and that's enough for a tri-blade 3-inch propeller, but it's not enough for a bi-blade 3-inch or a 2.5-inch propeller, and that's annoying. And so going up to 5S or 6S, you run that 4S kV motor and you get the extra RPM that we need for these like really high performance rigs. I wish that the motor manufacturers would just get their heads out of their ass and start making the motors with higher KVs, because we have motor limiting in Betaflight, which makes a motor with too high of a KV a really good thing. So there's that. But what do I know? I just work here. YouTube just did the thing, scrolling back up to try to find my place. There we go, I found it quick this time. CMYK says, I only got one. Walter says, in reference to the AIO, Walter says, you cannot buy on AliExpress. I wouldn't be surprised if they sold them on AliExpress. In the US, though, we typically don't order from AliExpress or Banggood, just because we're so spoiled with 4 massive, amazing shops here stateside. But yeah, Banggood and AliExpress usually have this stuff in stock at all times, and then you just let it rip. Wait a month and you got it. But PD says, I jammed the 2G4 in the airframe. No adverse effects yet. Not as tight as Meteor 75 standard. I'm like 90%. Really? It was really pushing up against the battery tray for me. Like to the point where it actually wouldn't sit all the way down on the grommets. And again, like, yeah, you can just crank the screws down, but like, ooh, I ain't doing that. Let me try again here. Yeah, see, no, it hits there. It's really not, just, it will not sit down. It's the camera plug that hits. That's what it is. It's the camera plug. Have you removed the camera plug on yours? Yeah, I mean, that hits bad, dude. Like the board won't sit flat. Did you remove your camera plug, or did you really just jam it? Just jam it home. Yeah. See the camera plug hitting? Like, I can't. And like, look how much it's sitting up. Like, look at that. You ran yours like that? I mean, like, yeah, I can jam it down, but now the front pops up. See so you ran it like that? You just ran the screws home? Yeah, that's it. The front won't sit down. I mean, you can remove that camera plug. There are pads, absurdly small pads. I think it's one of these asininely small pads here that's video in, and then you just gotta find 5 volts somewhere. Well, I mean, you could just power it off the battery leads. Might be one of those pads there. But yeah, you can direct solder a camera. It's just, I hate those little pads that they use on these boards. Those little tiny circular pads are the goddamn devil. So, yeah, I don't recommend, but an X12 board won't fit. Never mind. They don't even have it silkscreen which pads are which. And I'm pretty sure that if you break the camera plug off, there's not pads under it. And I could have sworn there was slightly larger set of pads on here that you could solder to. But no, it must just be these stupid little circle ones. Yeah, I ain't doing that. That ain't me. Get in there. I do love the this Meteor 75 airframe for the Walk-Snail builds, though. The Walk-Snail 75 builds, because it's a little bit lighter and it seems like it's a really stout frame. So, highly recommend it for that, but for square-shaped AIOs, unfortunately, it might not work. But we always run that risk. Matt Norton says, I want to take the guts out of my Cetus and put it into a 75mm 2S frame. Thoughts on compatibility? Might be okay. It's so hard to tell, man. Luckily, the frames are super cheap. Apparently, the 2S frame that you want is the Module 7 V3. I keep hearing that it's actually indestructible. It'll cost you $4, and if it doesn't work, it doesn't work. You get another one. The other frame that'll work for 2S is the Nubiduran Cockroach 75. That's kind of brittle. Probably another one. I just can't think of it. Somebody in chat will now type, there's also the so-and-so 75 frame that accepts 2S. Walter says alcohol. Just alcohol. Northern Tier says, I have a Walk-Snail heat sink to remove. Be curious if cutting works. Oh, I think Walter was suggesting alcohol to get the heat sink off. Hey Teddy, where you at? Come here, buddy. Teddy, your presence has been requested. Bertos, who's says my fiance wants to see Teddy. He's still up. Yeah, he's getting fuzzy too. His hair's getting long. Upside says, when I bought an soldering iron, I got 10 various tips. Upside, is that a Jeremy Clarkson reference? I got 10 various tips and selected 2. Now they're buggered. Where did I put the other tips in a safe place for fun? Yeah. Walter says alcohol softens the heat stuff. I still have one to do, so I will try it on this one. Not tonight, but I will try it on this one. Jesus, it's 9:30 already. CMYK says, anyone ever heard of Red Fox? I feel like I have, I just can't place it. Aaron Miller says, why don't you use a binding phrase for ELRS? I do, but you still have to put it in the binding mode, and you still have to do that nonsense. But I do use a binding phrase. Although, I think one of the other, don't quote me on this, but there's a chance that with this Happy Model AIO that you can't use a binding phrase. Or maybe I forget I said that. I forget. Binding phrase was one of the things that we were trying to troubleshoot. I can't remember if I had to remove it or add it. I don't remember, but I do use a binding phrase. 1B says, what's your go-to? Oh, we got that. Upside says, good question from PDFPD. 0702 are lighter, guessing good on a 65X. Exactly right, yeah. 702 is the right size motor for a lightweight 65mm build. It's just big enough that it has enough power and it can crank the really lightweight propellers even at higher KVs, but it's not so big that it's overly heavy and it drags the rig down. 702s are absolute magic. They run really well on the GemFan bi-blades. They also run well on the GemFan 1219S tri-blades and the HQ ultralight tri-blades. Those are the props that you want anyway. Walter says, if I can buy 5 Modula 6s for 140 euro, I can sell them quickly. Oh god, yeah, dude. Yeah, for sure. For sure. Wake and Bake types at Ciati but forgets the FPV, but I just happened to see it. What do you think about the Screamer motors? 32,500, they're awesome. All of these 702s at 30,000 kV and above are amazing. They're all made by Happy Model, so there's no difference in quality. Kevin Sumner says packet rate is how frequently the position of the sticks and switches is sent over the air. It's not the same as, but is referred to latency. Upside says so responsive, but loses range, I guess. Yep. CMYK says question in Discord live. Live stream live. Here it is. Somebody put a picture of their beaver up. Sub 250 Red Fox A3. Interesting. So it's an AIO. And it looks like it's, I don't think sub 250 is a guy on Instagram. I don't think he made it. I don't think he makes anything. But I bet you he spec'd this out maybe. I guess Red Fox is the company that's making it. 35 amp, that's an awful lot. That's like you could run a 5-inch rig off of a 35, 45 amp. Yeah, so that's a little bit overkill. You'll pay a little bit extra for that for no real reason, but hey, that's what everybody's doing. Everybody is over-speccing AIOs nowadays. Oh, you can get a 35 amp version of it. Great. Get the 35 amp version. It is absolutely not worth $4 extra. You will never, ever, 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 ever get anywhere near 35 amps a channel with a rig that's going to have an AIO in it. Unless you put this in a 5-inch freestyle rig, but don't do that. That's a terrible idea. Interesting. Sub 250 on Instagram. Oh, okay. No. This is not the Instagram sub 250. This is the company sub 250. They seem to make okay stuff. I would think that this is okay. Look, AIOs are a total shit show. Like, with every single AIO that gets made, you're just rolling the dice. Maybe it'll work. Maybe it'll have too much electrical noise. Nowadays, they've been doing a much better job on the AIOs than they used to. It used to be like 90% of them were just garbage and worthless. But they've gotten an awful lot better. This one might be cool. It might not be. I don't really trust reviews either. So, like, I don't know. It's just a situation of, like, buy it and cross your fingers, which blows because it's $80. And in the end, you know, if the ESC lets go on it, you got to replace the whole goddamn thing. If the gyro lets go, you got to replace the whole thing. So I'm still violently against AIOs, especially at $80, $90, $100. Some frames require them. I think that we just shouldn't run those frames. Like, let's not support the terrorists that are holding us hostage by only building frames to that accept AIOs. That's an awful thing to say because, like, really good friends of mine are making friends that require AIOs. But yeah, I don't know. AIOs can still eat shit and die for some. Maybe this is a good one though. They have gotten way better at making AIOs. I still hate that format. Limit says, is the Super X as good as the 2G4 in your opinion? I don't mind about soldering motors and camera. I threw a ton of abuse at this Super X AIO, and it did not skip a beat. So in theory, yes, it's as good as the old school 2G4. But I'm maybe 100 batteries into this. I have 2G4s that I'm 1,000 batteries into, and they're still totally fine. So there's a chance that the Super X is not that good. I can't put 1,000 batteries through that rig. But thus far, I've been very impressed by it, and I don't get impressed by stuff often, so it's probably okay. It's just going to be hard to get your hands on it. Jay Hines says, I have a Module 6, soldered the ELRS receiver to it. It's bound receiver and RM pocket, but the sticks don't work. I've watched Joshua Bardo's video and read ELRS site. I'm still lost. Welcome to hell, Jay Hines. Make sure that your packet rate is 250. Hopefully that fixes it. If that doesn't fix it, you've got to go into the receiver screen. You've got to click the bind button. You've got to bind it. You've got to hit the refresh button. You got to wait a second, and then you have to hit the save button. Kevin Sumner says I've decided against 5S because there are so few battery options. Yeah, luckily there's a 550 mAh 5S battery, which is perfect. That's the exact weight that I want. But yeah, 5S is tough because there's like 10 batteries total for it. Titan says something, but YouTube didn't want me to read it, so it scrolled me down to the bottom of the chat for absolutely no reason whatsoever, as it does 5,000 times a live stream. Titan says, got any opinions on what frame to use for a 3.5-inch freestyle build? I've been thinking about the Grinderino since it's quite durable. My first suggestion is actually going to be to not do a 3.5-inch freestyle build. 3-inch is the way to go. 3.5-inch, when you build it to be about 250 grams, which is usually what like a 3-inch freestyle build will end up weighing, it's really floaty. It does not give you the 5-inch flying experience, and you're going to have to adjust your flying a little bit more between flying a 5-inch rig and flying a 3.5-inch rig, which for me just drives me nuts. Like I hate getting all my shit together and I get out there and I start flying and I have to put like 3, 4, 5 batteries in a row to adjust from this rig that I'm flying right now to the previous one that I flew. I've spent a lot of time and effort over the years figuring out the right mix of propeller size, all up weight, and power thrust, so that as many of these builds as possible, with all different propeller sizes, all different camera platforms, different all-up weights, will fly as similarly as possible to the best flying rigs that exist, which are 5-inch freestyle builds. And at 250 grams, 3-inch is the way to go. I actually really like 3-inch at like 260, 270, even 280 grams. And then 3.5-inch rigs, they have to be like 320, 330, 340 before I feel like they have that good mix of float, horsepower, and just like throwability, basically. So yeah, that's gonna be my suggestion: is to not do a 3.5-inch build, unless like so that the advantages of the 3.5-inch build is going to be more power and more efficiency. If that's all you care about, hell yeah, 3.5 inches will absolutely do that. If you care about like a good flying experience and not having to adjust so often because you do have other rigs, I don't know, maybe you don't have any 5-inch rigs, it doesn't matter, but someday you will, guaranteed. Yeah, 3-inch is the way to go. The Quadmula Siren F3 is my favorite 3-inch frame at the moment. Unfortunately, it's out of stock. It'll be back in stock in a couple of weeks, apparently. I'm about to get
is to run a screw so you've got the post and then you've got a flat piece of plastic below it. I run screws that go all the way through the post and then all the way down into the flat plastic. And there is no goddamn way that I'm going to rip that big flat plastic piece up and out of there. So that's my main suggestion. E6000 is magic. You can probably glue it back on and get a bunch of batteries out of it, but it's always going to break again. DJ Beef says the lifetime frame replacement is great, but I'd rather be flying than repairing, and am willing to buy a premium if needed to do so. Nah, just run longer screws, brother. Race Day Quads has them. I just ordered 5 packs of them because I want to start. I want to have them on hand for when I get messages like this, and then you say to me, "Hey, they sold out," and I could be like, "I got you, bro." Metal Dirtson says, have we already looked at the FPV Cycle Cinesplorer 2? Is it up there? I've been talking to Bob about it for months. Oh, there it is! Sweet. This frame has been through a bunch of different revisions, and Bob was cool enough to involve me in a little bit of that process. Yeah, this is what I'm going to be moving all my Cinesplorers over to. I was really excited about the first version of this frame. The rear arms were actually mounted up top, under the top plate. But the problem Bob had is that the middle... never mind. It just didn't end up working out. This is fine. Yeah, this is very, very cool. The OG Cinesplorer was, and still is, other than maybe this one, the best Cinewoop frame. But the arms were a little thin. In order to keep the weight down, the arms were only 3 millimeters thick. Let me show you the Cinesplorer too. Hold on. Wait till you see these arms. Wait till you see the number on these arms. Hold on. I'm going to get the weight measurement. Where's the old one? So here's the old one. I forget what the old one weighs. So the old one weighs 55 grams. The old school Cinesplorer is 55 grams. The new one is 75. But here is the difference. Wow, it's 20 extra grams. I don't love that, but... oh man, it doesn't have it in here. It's like a 6 millimeter thick arm on the new one. Yeah, he doesn't have it called out. But I mean, you can see it. You can see it. Look at the thickness of this arm here. It's skinnier, which is great for airflow, and it now does have the A-arm design, which isn't great for airflow, but at least they're skinnier. But yeah, look at that thickness, and compare that to the current gen. You can probably see it here. There you go. Which is 3 millimeters thick. It's hard to get a sense of scale, but yeah, this is 3 millimeters thick, and the new one, I believe it's 6 millimeters thick. You'll see these old school arms are fatter and wider, but we don't really stress them in that direction. Like when you think of where the energy is going to come from, you know, this is a relatively wide arm, right? It's going to be really strong when you put force in this direction. Well, like, how often do you do that? How often do you go straight down and crash it like that? That's pretty rare. Usually we crash like this, right? So a thicker arm is going to take this hit and this hit a lot better. And yeah, it's become more and more obvious over the years that skinnier, thicker arms are the way to go. Sorry, not skinnier in the one dimension, thicker in the up-down dimension. You guys know what I meant. Shit, yeah, the new Cinesplorer is out. Very cool. How dare he not tell me? I gotta just open up a window real quick so I can scream at him. I'm not gonna scream at him. Oh my god. What is this pin shit that Facebook is... Oh my god, you scumbags. Oh my god. I'm gonna message him right now. There we go. I'm asking him if there's any way to make it a little bit lighter. That's kind of a mean thing to ask, because I know he busted... I'm sure he busted his ass to make it as light as he can, but... if it, you know, it's worth asking, I guess. Thanks for the heads up, Metal. I completely forgot. He mentioned last week that it was going to go up any day now, and I've had a bunch of shit going on. YouTube did the thing again. Scrolling back up. Kevin Sumner says Sub 250 also makes a 1S AIO. It's linked in the live stream live also. Thoughts? Nobody's been able to, other than Happy Model, nobody's been able to make a 1S AIO that's worth a shit. So I am immediately like, yeah, it's garbage, but maybe not. It does have an antenna here. So what's built in? ELRS or a VTX or both? My guess is going to be ELRS is built in. Let's see if we can figure it out. Red Fox A1, 5 amp. Two versions, without VTX and with VTX. Okay, so they built the VTX in. I bet you they didn't build in Express LRS. Oh, they did! Whoa! Oh, damn! Oh! Wow! That's a lot of dollars. Well, I sure hope it's good. That's a lot of dollars. Oh, look at this! That's too funny. That's too funny. Down with ceramic antennas, yo. It's got a bunch of pads. That is